Hello. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Indian Institute of Advanced Study, Rashtrapati Niwas, Shimla, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you to the inaugural session of the two-day international seminar, Darshana of Radhakrishnan, Eternal and Temporal. First of all, I request Professor Shashi Prabha Kumar, Honorable Chairperson, IIAS, Professor Shrinivasa Varakhedi, our keynote speaker today, Professor Himanshu Kumar Chaturvedi, our Honorable Director, Professor S. Rangnath, convener of the seminar, to please come take their seat on the dais. We are honored to have with us eminent philosophers, scholars, and distinguished participants from across the India and abroad. And this seminar is especially meaningful for the IIAS, as recalled in the official concept note. The Rashtrapati Niwas was gifted to the Institute by Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, and IIAS is commemorating the 60th year while revisiting the philosophical legacy that speaks to the spiritual unity, ethical life, and intercultural understanding. Dr. Radhakrishnan is our founder, so this seminar is especially very important and relevant to us. We now begin the inaugural session as per the official program. So to commence the proceeding in an auspicious manner, may I invite Dr. S. Rangnath, fellow IIAS and the convener of this international seminar, to render the Vedic invocation.
Namasadase, Sadasaspatayechaya. I am going to present 4 chants from 4 Vedas in 5 minutes, starting from Rig Veda. Rig Veda is the first written record available to us in world literature. The very first hymn is addressed to Agni, which is as follows. Om Agnimile Purohitam Yajnasya Devam Ritwijam Hotaram Ratnadhatamam Agni Purve Virushibhiridhyo Nutanairuta Sadevam Yeha Vakshati Agnina Rayimashnavat Poshameva Dive Dive Yashasam Veeravattamam Agneyam Yajnamadvaram Vishvata Paribhurasi Sayed Deveshu Gacchati Agnirhota Kavikratos Satyas Chitrashra Vastamaha Devo Deve Viragamat Yatangadashushe Twamagne Bhadran Karishyasi Tavetat Satyamangiraha Upatvagne Dive Dive Dosha Avastardhiya Vayam Namo Bharantaye Masi Rajantamadvaranam Gopamrutasya Didivim Vardhamanam Svedame Sanapite Vasuna Vegne Supayano Bhava Sachasvana Svastaye Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The second chant is from Yajurveda. This is employed to welcome the revered people and guests who visit any institution. न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानुषुः परेण नाकं निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते तद्यतयो विशन्ति वेदान्तविज्ञानसुनिश्चितार्थाः सन्न्यासयोगायतयः शुद्धसत्त्वाः ते ब्रह्मलोके तु परान्तकाले परामृतात् परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे दह्रं विपापं परमेष्वभूतं यत्पुण्डरीकं पुरमद्य सग्गस्तं तत्रापि दह्रं गगनं विशोकस्तस्मिन् यदन्तस्तदुपासितव्यं यो वेदादो स्वरप्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिलीनस्य यः परः स महेश्वरः ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. The third chant is a popular hymn occurring in Taittiriya Upanishad, and here we have some rendering of Sama. Ye tat samagayannaste ha uha uha ahamannam 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 ahamannado ahamannado ahamannadः ahgashlokakrut ahamasmi rutasya na bhaji yo ma dadati sayideva ma vaha om shanti shanti shanti. The last chant is from Atharva Veda, which states that let us have auspicious things, let us see auspicious things, let all gods confer auspiciousness on us. Om bhadram karne vishruyaama devaah bhadram pashyemakshabiryajatraah sthirairangai stuštuvagumsastanubihi vishema devahitam yadayuhu swasti na indro vruddhashavaah swasti na pusha vishvavedaah swasti nastarksho arishtanemihi swasti no brahaspatirdatatu. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om.
Thank you, Dr. S. Rangnath. Dr. S. Rangnath is the fellow at IIAS and a convener of this seminar. He is a distinguished Sanskrit scholar and a recipient of Haryana Gold Medal and the author of 100 books and more than 100 research papers. At IIAS, his fellowship work focuses on administration and governance in Indian epics and its present relevance. So we are thankful to you, Dr. S. Rangnath. We now proceed with the ceremonial lighting of the lamp. May I request the dignitaries on the dais to kindly proceed with the lighting of the lamp.
साज्यं त्रिवर्ति संयुक्तं वह्निना योजितं मया गृहाण मङ्गलं दीपं त्रैलोक्यतिमिरापः भक्त्या दीपं प्रयच्छामि देवाय परमात्मने त्राहि मां नरकात् घोरात् दिव्यज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते.
Thank you, respected dignitaries. We now have the Mangalacharan. May I invite Dr. Anuradha Raturi, Fellow IIAS Shimla, to present the Mangalacharan, which is composed by our Tagore Fellow at IIAS, Professor Uma C. Vaidya. Dr. Anuradha Raturi is IIAS Fellow, a classical vocalist trained in the Dagarbani tradition of the Dhrupad and a musicologist. Her IIAS Fellowship research explores the understanding sacred sound in the Indian classical music, the Shivagami perspective, Her work is known for bringing together the rigorous scholarship and lived live performance traditions. Stage is yours.
Namaskar everyone. I am presenting Vidushi Uma Vaidya Virachit Radhakrishnan Stotram. मेघे सान्द्रे हरित हरिते तामिले च प्रदेशे लक्ष्म्या सार्धं बहुल बहुले शारदीये निवासे सद्भाग्याद्विजकुले साक्षात् पुण्यपूर्णे सुनिश्चिते सर्वपल्लीति प्रख्याते परमावतरणं तथा ग्रहेषु सर्वेषु यथा स्थितेषु भूतग्रामे सन्तुलिते यथावत् मासे शुद्धे कृष्णपक्षे तृतीया तिथिर्हि धन्या जननीरिवाभूत् चन्द्रोदयात् प्राक् च यथावकाशे मुहूर्तिके प्राप्तकाले शुभे च राधापूर्वं कृष्णनसौ समाख्यः प्राप्तो जनिमेष स्वनामधन्यः शिक्षाप्रणालीञ्च सनातनीं यो समुद्धरन् शान्तचित्तश्च लेभे प्रकाण्डपाण्डित्यमथार्जवं च स्वचित्तसाक्षी प्रणिनाय ग्रन्थान् सोऽयं प्राज्ञः राष्ट्रमुद्धर्तु कामः स्वमार्गभ्रष्टान् निजदेशवासिनः प्रबोधयन् दर्शनैस्तत्त्वयुक्तैः सम्मानितो राष्ट्रपतिपदेन विद्याव्रते च सुस्नातो शारदीये सदा मुदा छात्रांश्च स्नपयन् दृष्ट्वा जातो शासननिर्णयः सेप्टेम्बरस्य मासस्य सुदिनं क्रमपञ्चमं सन्माननाय कार्यस्य शिक्षकेभ्यः समर्पितः तस्माद्धि भारते वर्षे प्रख्यातः शैक्षिको दिनः सुकीर्तिं शाश्वतीमाप राधाकृष्णन् महोदयः स्थित्वा स्वयमुच्चपदेऽपि सोऽयं विद्वद्वरेण्यः विगतस्पृहश्च अद्वैतवेदान्तकृताङ्गीकारः प्रत्यर्पयत् शारदायै निवासः उच्चम् अध्ययनम् अत्र ध्येयमासीत् च संस्थया स्वीकृतं तद्दिनादेव सद्योऽपि खलु वाह्यते उच्चैककोटिकं छात्र भवेत् अध्ययनम् इति सर्वथा तस्य स्वप्नोऽयं यायात् पूर्तिमिति स्पृहे यायात् पूर्तिमिति स्पृहे यायात् पूर्तिमिति स्पृहे इति श्रीराधाकृष्णन स्तोत्रम् ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः.
Thank you, Dr. Raturi, for the beautiful and meaningful Mangalacharan. Truly an apt opening for this seminar devoted to darshan, where the thought, sound, and inward reflection meet. We now move forward to the formal welcome address, and it is my privilege to invite Professor Himanshu Kumar Chaturvedi, Honorable Director, Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla, to deliver the welcome address. Professor Chaturvedi is a distinguished historian specializing in the modern Indian history and Indian national movement. Sir, may I request you to kindly address the gathering.
A very warm good morning to all the scholars who have made this seminar turn into a reality. Especially I would like to welcome the scholars from the foreign lands. The philosophy is always borderless. And all the scholars who have come across various places. I would like to welcome our keynote speaker, Professor Shrinivasa Varakhedi ji, Vice Chancellor, Central Sanskrit University, Delhi, who really had a tough time to travel to Shimla, and he reached there, shall I say, yesterday or today at 12:30 in the morning. Most welcome, sir. We are honored to have the chairperson of the Indian Institute of Advanced Study, a kind of a scholar who is a signature in her own rights, most respected Professor Shashi Prabha Kumarji, the National Fellows of the Institute, the Tagore Fellows of the Institute, all the Fellows of Indian Institute of Advanced Study, and ladies and gentlemen. Being a director, my role is very limited in this seminar because I can't dare to stand and deliver before these wonderful philosophers who are assembled here. I'm a man from history, as Dr. Akhilesh just now mentioned. So the first thing that I would like to say, hopefully your stay is comfortable, the logistics are up to the mark, and the hospitality is not compromised. This is what my primary duty is all about in this seminar. And I'm sure that in this two-day national seminar on the Darshana of Radhakrishnan, eternal and temporal, the word we have used, the nomenclature we have used specifically is darshan, incidentally not philosophy. What is the difference between the two? I hope the scholars will discuss and deliberate on it. And we as audience will be enlightened. This is the 60th year of Indian Institute of Advanced Study with the illustrious journey. And on this occasion, we planned this seminar in a very closer proximity with the chairperson herself, taking a keen interest in the concept note and the whole idea behind the seminar. Professor S. Ranganathanji, who is there on the stage, he has worked very hard for the past 5 months और शायद आप लोग को, जो लोग आप लोग आए हुए हैं, अनुभव हुआ होगा कि उनके पत्राचार, उनके टेलीफोन कॉल्स, उनके व्हाट्सएप मैसेजेस आप लोगों को यहाँ तक लाने के लिए बड़े महत्वपूर्ण रहे होंगे. We have a co-convener of the seminar, Professor Mahanti Sahab, who is sitting on the back chairs. So this show basically belongs to Professor Ranganathan ji and Professor Mahanti ji. And as director of the institute, I am thankful to both the scholars who have made this day possible. Today, I would like to share only few things regarding the nature of this institution when it was founded on 20th of October 1965. And none the other but the greatest scholar and a great human being, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan ji, gifted this institute with a reason. On 20th of October 1965, the first seminar of this institute was organized, entitled Religion in Society, in which he delivered a very important address that why Indian Institute of Advanced Studies is being established and why he has dedicated this grand infrastructure to humanities and social sciences. Let me start with a quote by one of the gentlemen who played a very important role in establishing this Indian Institute of Advanced Study, Shri M.C. Chagla. I quote, "It is unique in the first instance because in a place which was the symbol of imperialism and of viceregal splendor, we are now going to have a symbol of a scholarship and research." This was your home. Now he is addressing to Dr. Sarvapalli, who was present in this inaugural address. This was your home. You have kept it and continued to live in the same splendor as the viceroys did in the olden days. But you thought more of a scholarship and research, and you made this magnificent gift to education, which has made possible the birth of this institution. These were the opening remarks by Shri M.C. Chagla. And then Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan ji, in his address, he very clearly read out regarding the purpose why this institute was being founded. Again, I quote Dr. Sarvapalli now this time. "I want to tell you that it is not a gift which I made. We are temporary tenants in the world, especially in the positions which we happen to hold. When I took up the office as president, I looked into the statistics of visits to Shimla and was informed that in a period of 15 years, we spent about 120 days here, less than 10 days a year. So, I thought that it should be devoted to a more useful purpose than merely the premises of the president. This is the first thing that I wish to say. You do not owe me any gratitude for placing this house at the disposal for academic journey." I mean, this is the person whom we are celebrating today in the form of this seminar. I further quote, "You are calling yourselves an institute of advanced study. Pursuit of truth is not an easy task. We try to seek knowledge and not information. First principles and not particular details. We must find out whether what we are observing, what has come down to us as truth on the sanction of authority, is really truth or requires some kind of adjustment or modifications," unquote. Further, what he said about the social sciences and the humanities, we all need to bear this in our hearts for life, because we all come from social sciences and humanities. He further said, "We attach ourselves more and more to science and technology. We want to raise the living standards of our common people. We can do that only by the application of science and technology. So that's how we believe. And by human effort, we try to improve the general condition of our people. But then there is a sense of inadequacy. There is a sense of lack of compelling need, a direction to our life. We ask ourselves if we can be content with mere science and technology, or whether we should lay stress on another aspect of our studies, namely the humanities." So his idea and his concept was very clear. And then he sums up. I again quote, "The mistake is in the inadequacy of human nature. That is why I think the stress on humanities which you are laying will correct this one-sidedness of our culture." So with these thoughts and with these ideas, this institute was established. And I think I don't use any hyperbole when I say that it's a privilege to be associated with Indian Institute of Advanced Study and be in the company of wonderful scholars, I mean the fellows who are here, who are in pursuit of this thought process with which this institute was founded. On this remembers, ignites our soul and conscience to question self through philosophy. And I believe philosophy cannot itself determine the end of life, but it can free us from the tyranny of prejudice and from distortions due to a narrow view. So today, we have assembled here to discuss and deliver on the various aspects of the Darshana of Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, which we term as eternal and temporal, because without an iota of doubt, it can be stated that he ranks tallest in pre- and post-independent India when it comes to darshan in philosophy. With these words, I welcome you all once again, and I look forward what Professor Ranganathanji told me, that every seminar and conference has an objectivity which will only be fulfilled when we deliver it in the form of a printed material. He has assured me that he already has 12 full papers in possession, and within a short time, your contributions will definitely make a difference in the field of philosophy and in the darshan of Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. I welcome you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Chaturvedi, for the warm welcome and for so clearly framing the intellectual spirit of IIAS and the purpose of this two-day international seminar. Your remarks beautifully connect the IIAS institutional legacy with the living responsibility of the scholarship today. We shall now have the felicitation of our keynote speaker today. So for this, I request Professor Shashi Prabha Kumar, Honorable Chairperson IIAS, to kindly present the keynote speaker today, Professor Shrinivasa Varakhedi, the IIAS traditional Himachali shawl and cap. I request Honorable Director Sir to present Professor Varakhedi the plant of IIAS and a portrait of IIAS building. Thank you. It is also an honor of a matter of honor for us that 3 of IIAS publications are being released today. I request the dignitaries to kindly release 3 of IIAS publications. Yes. The first book is The Garland of Tribute, compiled by Dr. S. Rangnath. I request Professor Dr. S. Rangnath to say something about the book.
Indeed, it was a very unique honor for me to have been asked to compile this garland of tributes. 108 has got a special meaning in our tradition. Therefore, since Radhakrishnan was an adept both in Indian philosophy as well as Western philosophy, I have tried to compile some of the important messages and their viewpoints from both Eastern scholars as well as Western scholars. And from the beginning, I want to state here that perfection personified professor Shashi Prabha Kumar ji, who is the chairperson and dynamic and dedicated director, Dr. Himamshu Kumar Chaturvedi ji, have guided me and have given me the proper kind of suggestions in the right time. Therefore, I am only an instrument and the entire credit should go to those 2 great scholars.
Thank you, Dr. S. Rangnath. The second book which is being released is Ayurveda, Holistic Science of Well-being for the World. This book is edited by our Honorable Chairperson, Professor Shashi Prabha Kumar. And the third book is Dayanand Saraswati and His Legacy. It is also edited by our Honorable Chairperson, Professor Shashi Prabha Kumar. I request the ma'am to say a few words about these publications.
One of them was during this, after the Corona period, Ayurveda, in which none of the participants could make it personally to attend. And it was organized online, both days, all the scholars presented online. But I am thankful to all the contributors who submitted their papers. And this book, because this deals with Ayurveda, holistic science of well-being. During G20, this theme was promoted, and this seminar was in collaboration with the Vivekananda International Foundation, New Delhi, and RIS, Research and Information Systems of Government of India. So I am thankful to all the contributors and to the director and all the staff of Institute for making it possible to be published. I didn't want it to be released here today on the seminar, which is basically focused on the Darshana of Radhakrishnan. But this is the view and the vision of director. He said, no, both these books will be released. The next book, again, this was a 3-day international seminar on the occasion of 200th birth anniversary of Dayanand Saraswati, in which some 30 participants presented. This was a very well-attended seminar, and all the contributors have given their papers. They are all included in this. So I am again very happy that these proceeding, and I would like to tell that at IIAS, this is a practice. Whatever seminar is held, whatever program is held, any lecture, all of them are published. All the fellows who are here, they are residential fellows. They take up some project, and all their project work after submission are published. During the last 60 years, we have more than 500 publications. So with these words, I am thankful again to the contributors, to the director, and the staff of IIAS.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Once again, congratulations to the editors, compilers, and IIAS team. These releases add the enduring value to our academic community and the wider world of scholarship. We now have the prefatory remarks by the convener. May I invite Dr. S. Rangnath, Fellow IIAS and the convener of this international seminar, to deliver the prefatory remark. Dr. Rangnath is an accomplished Sanskrit scholar with an extensive publication and honors, and his current IIAS fellowship, as I heard all told. May I request? Sir.
A very good morning to one and all. Let me commence my prefatory remarks with a Sanskrit shloka as a dedication to Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan in Sraddhara meter. Granthagaram gavaksham bhavatu cha bhavanam bharatiya uccha vidya samstayai mananiyani anayanikayam samudhartu kamaha sadyo nirdharya saraswata sadanamidam bharatasyaiva ratnam radha krishno dadono nijabhavanamaso rashtrapatyam nivasam. At the very outset, I, along with Professor Muktikant Mahanti, want to express our sincere gratitude and high indebtedness to Honorable Chairperson, Madam Professor Shashiprabha Kumar, and Honorable Director, Professor Himanshu Kumar Chaturvedi ji, for having bestowed the unique honor of making us coordinator and co-coordinator for this 2-day international seminar entitled Darshana of Radhakrishnan, Eternal and Temporal, coinciding with the historic and momentous occasion of Dr. S. Radhakrishnan handing over Rashtrapati Nivas to Indian Institute of Advanced Study 60 years ago. The number 60 has a special significance in Bharatiya tradition. 60 seminal works which emerged from the facile and vibrant pen of Radhakrishnan over a period of 60 years will be discussed in the span of 2 days in 6 academic sessions in the salubrious and serene atmosphere of Shimla, the capital of Himachal Pradesh. To talk about the writings of Radhakrishnan would be like holding infinity in one's palm, as William Blake would have it, or like crossing a mighty ocean with a small raft, as Kalidasa would remark. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan was a seminal thinker, a visionary darshanika, a virtuoso orator, a writer with stylish vigor, an indefatigable translator, commentator, and a prophetic soul. Added to this were the worthy intervention in public affair, the staunch patriot, the constructive educational administrator, the ambassador who won confidence in what was thought to be an uncongenial atmosphere, and finally, the dignified presence for 15 years in Delhi as Vice President and then the President of India. He was Swadesheshu Dhanyaha and Videsheshu Manyaha. And certainly, he has left behind his footprints on the sands of time. Dr. Radhakrishnan was Upanishad unified, Gita glorified, Brahma Sutra beautified, and translation typified. IIAS is honored to welcome Professor Shrinivasa Varakhedi ji, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Central Sanskrit University, Delhi, who very kindly consented to not only deliver, who is about to deliver the keynote address in this historic seminar, but also to release the 3 publications which have been brought out here. The word seminar originates from the Latin word seminarium, meaning seed plot or nursery, which is derived from semen, seed. It entered English via the German word seminar, with the term evolving to signify a place for cultivating ideas and nurturing knowledge. Professor Isaac Sequeira, former professor of English at Hyderabad, used to say, Hyderabad is full of minars and seminars. True, IIAS also had conducted so many seminars earlier in the span of 60 years. But this is not just one of those seminars to be attended and given a goodbye. This is IIAS-owned historical and momentous seminar, wherein lasting legacy of Radhakrishnan to posterity through his myriad modes of contribution meandered in a meaningful way, magnificently, during the 60 years of his public life would be discussed in the text of the context with the pretext of that Darshanic king handing over Rashtrapati Niwas to IIAS 60 years ago. Prolific and pertinent publications of Radhakrishnan, which is of perennial interest to posterity, will be discussed here with critical acumen and Catholic outlook, for which Radhakrishnan was well known by veteran and senior scholars. The topics pertaining to his ideas on contraries to Confucius, worldview, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutras, public ethics, historiography, doctrine of Maya, concept of man and destiny, Buddhist philosophy, his speeches pertaining to Sikh gurus will be presented in this 2-day international seminar entitled Darshana of Radhakrishnan, Eternal and Temporal, which was the vision of our Honorable Chairperson, Perfection Personified Professor Shashi Prabha Kumar, and the mission of our Honorable Dynamic and Dedicated Director, Professor Himanshu Kumar Chaturvedi ji, and has the fusion today with the august presence of distinguished and veteran scholars who have delved deep into the Darshana of Radhakrishnan dexterously and diligently during the academia, who will be presenting papers with all their experience, exposure, expertise in an ennobling way in front of this elite audience, which is going to enthrall one and all on account of their in-depth analysis in an inimitable way, which will be informative, illuminating, and interesting to the inquisitive inquirers when IIAS is celebrating the historic and momentous moment of its founder, Radhakrishnan, handing over Rashtrapati Niwas to Indian Institute of Advanced Study 60 years ago, wherein we have the thoughts of East and West go hand in hand in keeping with the work Eastern religions and Western thought, thus disproving Rudyard Kipling's statement, East is East and West is West, never the twain shall meet. And concurring with the statement of Bertrand Russell, with the oncoming of civilization, culture has receded back. With the people becoming more and more intelligent, they are lagging behind in wisdom, and for wisdom we have to turn to India. Incidentally, I may mention here that I have included Russell's tribute on Radhakrishnan in the book which has been released, entitled Garland of Tributes. The word book is derived from Old English word bok, which is traditionally linked to beech tree. UNESCO defines a book as a known periodical printed publication of at least 49 pages, which is a vehicle for transmitting culture. According to Bacon, some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. And certainly, Radhakrishnan's writings have to be chewed and digested. According to Milton, a good book is the precious lifeblood of a master spirit, embalmed and treasured up on purpose to a life beyond life. Milton's speech to the British parliamentarians in 1644 read thus: a good book is like the blood that circulates to give rise to the human body. So, I'm not going to talk about the two books because revered chairperson has given the all the details about that. I'm just going to sum up. We are highly grateful to Professor Shrinivasa Varakhedi ji, who very kindly consented to deliver the keynote address and also to release. He has previously served as Vice Chancellor in Kavikaluguru Kalidas Sanskrit University, Gondwana University and Karnataka Sanskrit University. He has been awarded Maharshi Badarayan Vyas Samman, an award given by the President of India in 2008, and Swami Chinmaya Research Gold Medal in 2013. He has received many awards and titles for his work in the field of Sanskrit and Indian knowledge systems. Recently, he is conferred honorary D.Litt by the Governor of Maharashtra in the convocation of Kavikaluguru Kalidas Sanskrit University at Ramtek. He is endeavoring to transform Central Sanskrit University into a world-class institution, thereby to establish the significance of Sanskrit learning across the world with the objective of positioning India as Vishwa Guru and internationalization of Bharatiya Vidya. We are highly grateful to Professor Daniel Rave, Professor of Philosophy, Tel Aviv University, Israel, and Professor Lavanya Vemsani, School of Social Sciences, Shawnee State University, Ohio, USA, to present here physically to make their presentations. We express our sense of gratitude to Professor Hiraman Tiwari ji, Chairman ICHR, who was instrumental in getting Professor Rave and Professor Lavanya. I cordially welcome Professor Shantakumari B.R., former Professor of Philosophy, Pondicherry Central University, Professor Balaganapati Devarkonda, Professor of Philosophy, University of Delhi, Professor Lakshmikant Padi, Professor of Philosophy, North Bengal University, Professor Namita Nimbalkar, Professor of Philosophy, University of Mumbai, Professor N.C. Panda, Vice Chancellor, Central University Orissa, Professor A. Nataraju, Chairperson, Center of Philosophy, JNU, Professor Geeta Dharmapal, ex-Dean of Research, Gandhi Research Foundation, Jalgaon, Professor Kundan Singh, Senior Fellow, Hindupedia, Professor Pannir Selvan, our valedictory speaker, who is already here with us, who was Director of Radhakrishnan Chair at the University of Madras, Professor R.C. Sinha, National Fellow, IIAS, and former Chairperson, ICPR, Professor Sachidanand Mahanti, National Fellow, IIAS, member UGC and former VC, and Professor Brijendra Pandey, Dr. Adya Dikshit, Dr. Gurpreet Singh, and Dr. Shivendra Kumar Mishra. All the fellows and will be making these presentations tomorrow in the afternoon sessions. I am highly grateful to the caring and courteous librarian, Dr. Rajiv Mishra ji, enthusiastic and earnest public relations officer, Dr. Akhilesh Pathak ji, Assistant Public Relations Officer, Deepender Parashar ji, committed and conscientious academic resource officer, one-man army, Hemraj Sharma ji, ever obliging and earnest secretary, Meherchand Negi ji, embodiment of rules and regulations, Ravindra Saini ji, myriad and multidisciplinary fellows, smiling and sincere associates, helpful and harmonious office staff, and who have extended their total cooperation to this historic event. IIAS offers special thanks to media and all the invitees who have gathered here in spite of being a working day. I want to conclude my prefatory remarks by placing before you Radhakrishnan's remark while inaugurating this institute 60 years ago. The greatest event for our age is the meeting of cultures, meeting of civilization, meeting of different points of view, meeting us understand that we should respect diversity of belief. Our attention should always be to bring people together to establish friendship and live in harmony and happiness. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. S. Raghunath, for those beautiful, thoughtful, prefatory remarks, rich in context and direction. Your overview provides an excellent intellectual pathway into the sessions that follow over these 2 days. Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the keynote address. It is my privilege to invite Professor Shrinivasa Varakhedi, Vice Chancellor, Central Sanskrit University, Delhi, to deliver the keynote address. Professor Varakhedi's describes himself as the distinguished academician and administrator in the Sanskrit studies with the interdisciplinary engagement, including the computational linguistics. His PhD is in Nyaya and highlights the major recognitions, including the Maharshi Badrayan Vyas Samman conferred by the President of India, among other honors, as already mentioned by Dr. S. Rangnath. Sir, may I request you to kindly deliver it.
भवति यदनुभावात् एडमोकोऽपि वाग्मी जडमतिरपि जन्तुर्जायते प्राज्ञमौलिः सकलवचनचेतो देवता भारती सा मम वचसि निधत्तां सन्निधिं मानसे च. My tributes to Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. प्राच्य प्रतीच्य सेतुर्यः दर्शनानांच दर्शनः सर्वे पल्ली राधा कृष्ण नामासौ जयतात् सुधीः. भारतस्य प्रतिष्ठे द्वे दर्शनं चरितं महत् उभयोरपि दृष्टोन्तः येन तं प्रणमाम्यहम्. It's indeed a great privilege for me to address this gathering on the occasion of 60th year celebrations of this illustrious legacy. Honorable Chairperson, Professor Shashprabha Kumarji, Honorable Director, Professor Chaturvedi, Professor S. Rangnath, Professor Mohanty, and Professor Mishra, who are on the dais. Equally, many dignitaries and scholars are present in this august hall. I know every one of them and their scholarship. I am much benefited by their works and contributions. I had opportunity to spend time with them, listening to them, and of course Professor S. Sinha, R. C. Sinha, Professor Uma Vaidya, Professor Mohanty, Professor Namita Nimbalkar, Balaganapati, Nagaraju, Professor Panniselvam, Professor Pandey, and many others. And it's indeed a great honor for me to speak in front of all of you, who are the stalwarts of philosophical discipline in today's time. There are two attractions to come to this place. Many a times I expressed my wish to come here before Honorable Chairperson, but the problem is entirely mine. Many a times she insisted me and invited me to come here and stay for some time and learn something from the fellows, senior fellows here. But my position always is an obstacle. I neither have this luxury nor the liberty. Most free persons are most bounded. And I decided to stay here for 4 days on the insistence of my friend, my philosopher friend, Arindam, who delivered lecture on 6th. And whenever he delivers his lectures, he starts preparing for his lectures for 3 months. And during those days, he shares his ideas and then especially when he starts reading some new works on old works, Sanskrit works, he again comes back to me that this is my interpretation, he wants my confirmation. That's the friendship. And he asked me to be present during his lecture here. And I promised him, but again, I failed to keep my promise and I could not come here. If I would have come here, I would have stayed for 4 days, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. But again, due to my other engagements, I could not come. I came yesterday. I spent 2 days, yesterday and today. And then there are two attractions. One is, as all of you know, the legacy of this institution. Not only the beauty, not only the external beauty, but the beauty of persons who stay here. And another attraction is the great motherly affection and blessings of Guru towards me, given by Professor Shashi Prabha Kumar. Shashi Prabhaji is in that sense, it is very personal and it is very philosophical bondage we share. So for this reason, I am standing before you. Otherwise, you are the most senior philosophers are present here. What should I speak? That doubt is still there in my mind. And 60 years of any institution is not a small thing, because it is the continuous, as it is elaborated in simple and beautiful Sanskrit shlokas by Professor Uma Vaidya, Radhakrishna Stotram. The commitment and the mandate given by the donor and the commitment of the institution torch bearers, and that continuity is maintained by the scholars. This legacy of 60 years is great inspiration for all of us. And I had been to Paris, where I have seen very great institutions, 500 years. That is Collège de France. I visited that institution. I spent a full day. The young scholars should see that institution. I am told that there are 49 positions, and all the scholars, most of them are Nobel laureates in science, mathematics, philosophy, and many other branches of knowledge. 500 years. Only an institution of this kind could survive, because it is not temporal institution, it is eternal institutions, because they follow the eternal sciences. They study the eternal ideas. We have many engineering colleges. Departments are closed down because those are the skilling and the engineering and the other areas of technologies. They change, and the departments cannot survive for more than 5 to 10 years. This institution will continue here with the same rigor for next 500 years. I'm pretty sure. So that inspiration, because in India we never institutionalize the knowledge. Only during the period of Shankara we started institutioning mathas. Otherwise there were no mathas. People used to come together and discuss, and they used to go back with the knowledge. The entire this Bharatavarsha is full of knowledge. We don't have institutions. Therefore, we don't have institutions for 500 years, 700 years. No. We have knowledge systems. We have the schools. We have the knowledge spread across the country. But when we started institutioning establishing the institutions and the knowledge that continues with the institution, sometimes there is a danger of crystallization of knowledge. The dynamism goes out. This becomes a tradition. So this is how we should continue. Yes, I understand for Vedic culture, Vedic tradition, we need to preserve. But for the rest of the things, we should be very much open. So today, though we have a place in institution, the knowledge should not confine to the institutions. Knowledge should go everywhere. With this kind of my personal opinion, I start to read my the drafted speech before you without wasting much of your time. It is both a privilege and sacred intellectual responsibility to reflect upon the Darshana of Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan in this august institution, which stands as a living testimony to his generosity and vision. 60 years ago, when he gifted Rashtrapati Niwas to the nation, he was not merely donating a building. He was consecrating a space for tapas of thought, for dialogue between the two dimensions of the truth, eternal and temporal. I believe that if you want to protect the eternal values, the temporal system should work for that. Like the cells of our body should die to protect the Atman. Otherwise, if they stay back, this remain forever, then Atma will die. Therefore, today's theme, eternal and temporal, captures the very center point of Professor Sri Radhakrishnan's philosophy. His life and work were a bridge between the Upanishadic Darshana and modern humanity, between eternal truth of East and temporal idea of West, between eternal metaphysical insight and the temporal material discourse. It is an engagement of eternal spirit and temporal matter, eternal inner beauty and temporal external appearance, eternal space and temporal place, eternal path of yoga sadhana and temporal pause of bhoga sadhana. He transformed temporal political space into eternal philosophical, tapas. This building itself, it was a political place. It is transformed as eternal philosophical space. It is quite appropriate and timely to engage with the Vada Katha on his dyadic Darshana. The scholars who have studied Dr. S. Radhakrishnan for years could reflect upon his holistic approach in a better way. His Darshana is spread in large-scale works, which is very hard to capture in a nutshell. I am a hardcore Nayayika. Because of my in-depth study, somewhere my knowledge is limited. Sometimes I fear that because of my the world view is limited, I could see everything through my world view. Therefore, many times I don't understand others' viewpoint. Because Dvaita and Nayayikas are so hard. They are not flexible. Though they give the framework to the rest of the philosophical dialogue, because they are in Dvaitins. Basically, they are in the realm of Dvaita. They can't go beyond that. That is the limitation. This Vasana stops, somewhere holds me because of this framework, very much trained in this framework of Dvaita Vasana. Many a times I fail to understand the Buddhist philosophical and even reconciliation of the philosophy. Basically, when I read Radhakrishnan, he always tried to reconcile the views, different views. And that's where I found my limitations. The heavy task is given to a person like me who is trained in Bharatiya Darshana but less trained in the literature of Indian philosophy in English. However, this I consider is a joyful opportunity to study and reflect upon this school of thought that emerged during the last legs of British India and dawn of independent India. This has given me some new insights into Bharatiya Darshanas. Thanks to Honorable Chairperson and Director of IIAS for making me part of this seminar. I just share my thoughts and leave some questions for your reflections. The intellectual context and the life. Dr. Radhakrishnan stands as a civilizational crossroads, rooted in Advaita Vedanta and Upanishadic philosophy. His works engaged deeply with Western idealism. He was a unique philosopher who taught philosophy in classrooms at Indian and Western universities, and who was also in the helm of affairs of academic policy making and making of higher education institutions in India. And later who became Vice President and President of India, stood as star of Indian public life. Started as a philosopher, and at the end of his life, we could see his public affairs. According to me, he was not merely an interpreter of Indian philosophy, though he created a window for the Western philosophers to look into the Indian philosophy in their own, in new terminology. I could see new terminologies he developed. He was not merely an interpreter of Indian philosophy, but its modern architect of independent India school of philosophy in its dawn. His works, Indian philosophy, the Hindu view of life and idealist view of life, and principal Upanishads represent systematic engagement with both tradition and modernity. This engagement itself is an engagement with the eternal and temporal reality. His foundational work on Indian philosophy lays down the foundation for Indian philosophical thinking, with an in-depth engagement with the philosophical categories and the fundamental relations and functions which influenced Indian thinking in all fields and all aspects of life. The Hindu view of life deliberates on all practical aspects of lived realities of living philosophies in India. His idealism has different approach towards mundane life. In this way, his entire philosophical discourse is an engagement with eternal values and temporal contexts. During his academic tenure as a faculty and vice chancellor in India, India was emerging a new independent nation. Its journey through the ages was a struggle to preserve its eternal spirit and values of ancient culture. In New India, she was looking for its place in modern developed world. While engaging with this discourse of shaping India, Sri Radhakrishnan's philosophy got evolved. Dr. S. Radhakrishnan's idealism is deeply rooted in the philosophical tradition, especially the non-dual of Sri Shankara. However, he does not merely reproduce the traditional Advaitic doctrines. Rather, he interprets them through a more dynamic and theistic lens. While Shankara emphasized the impersonal and attributeless nature of Brahman, Radhakrishnan leaned towards a personal, expressive and spiritually active conception of the Absolute. He saw the divine not merely a static metaphysical principle, but as an immanent reality revealing itself progressively through human consciousness and cultural evolution. Thus, Professor Radhakrishnan For Radhakrishnan, the ultimate reality is spiritual consciousness and purposeful, and human beings are embodiments of this divine essence. It seems after reading his interpretation and independent works on Upanishads that at the core of Radhakrishnan school lies on the absolute idealism, a re-articulation of the Upanishad vision in modern terms. However, he does not believe in the illusionism of the universe which is admitted by Shankarite idealist. It's very interesting. See, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. This view throws many challenges. Even when I started reading Shankara, of course as an opponent, then we see a lot of contradictions from the opponent's view. Because Shankara draws the ideas from Upanishad and very clearly states that Brahma Satyam and Jagan Mithya. When the entire world is Mithya, it is illusionary. The examples that are given by him, like Gandharva Nagari. This Gandharva Nagari is totally illusion. This sort of examples makes us to confirm that this world is nothing. This is just an appearance. And then, why then we should act? Why then we should take action? Why then we should be part of this illusionary world? This question, sometimes the question goes to the existence of the human being. I mean, whether am I real here? If I am not real, if I am created out of somebody's illusion. So there was sometimes in our classrooms, we used to discuss that if it is created by one's personal illusion, we don't know who is that person. Until he retires from this world, until he gets the liberation, we are not liberated. Why should we try for a liberation? Because we need not. Because somebody whose illusion has created this world, he should get the knowledge, not me. Therefore, this sort of the Mithyavada makes us non-active in the mundane world. But Radhakrishnan has a different view here. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, all this is Brahman. According to him, reality is Brahman. The universe is a manifestation of Brahman, not an illusion in a nihilistic sense. Unlike Shankara's absolute non-dualism, often interpreted as Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, one absolute reality and the world negating, Radhakrishnan proposes a graded reality. Actually, when I just checked with my Advaitin friends, when this graded reality is introduced, many of them confirmed that Shankara never talked about it. Acharya Shankara always stood for Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. And though he agreed that this Vyavaharika Jagat, Mithya Jagat is a Vyavaharika, but in his works it is not very clearly stated that there are three valued reality. The three-layered realities, what we call Tritaya Satya, Pratibhasika and Vyavaharika and Paramarthika, these three-layered truth, the idea of three-layered truth is introduced by later Advaitins, post-Shankara Advaitins. Even Madhusudan Saraswati confirms this, because always the debate I have seen in Advaita Siddhi and Nyayamrita, always Nyayamrita starts with the two valued truth system. That is, this logic follows there are 0 and 1. So either there is Satya or Mithya. But Madhusudan Saraswati takes different view. He starts his whole philosophy, all arguments stand on the basis of three-layered truth. That means starts with Paramarthika, which is Brahman, the reality of Brahman, existence of Brahman. And the second reality is the Vyavaharika Satya, which is we are present here. And the third level is Pratibhasika, which is completely illusion. Like the examples of Shukti Rajata, when we see a silver on shell or snake on a rope, that example stands for Pratibhasika. And the Vyavaharika Satya is like dream. So when somebody is in dream, he perceives the dream, it is real. It is real as long as he perceives the dream. He is into the dream. And when he is liberated from this world, he could experience the Brahman, that is Paramarthik Satya. This three-layered truth is the foundation for the philosophical argument. This we don't find very clearly in the Shankaras, in works of Shankara. But Professor Radhakrishnan proposed this, and he says, and again I quote him in some place, for Shankara, Nitya or eternal alone constitutes Satya. For Shankara, Nitya and Satya are both same. You cannot separate them. If something is Satya, that is Nitya. If something is Nitya, that is Satya. The temporal world is not real because every Anitya, everything that is Anitya is totally illusion. It is an illusion of like Gandharva Nagara on sky, a snake on rope, a silver on the shell, a dream object. The post-Shankara Advaitins who followed or interpreted Shankara deviate from this. He taking the stand that reality itself is of three tiers. This three-tiered reality is of course logically established on the basis of Shankara's works. The reality which is just an appearance like dream object or illusion that appears to be real during the moment of dream or illusionary cognition. Its existence is felt as is the existence of any other realities of the world. The reality is purely temporal. Its existence is totally dependent on the cognitive event and or the moment. Beyond cognition, it has no existence. So this Vyavaharika Jagat, though it has no existence beyond its cognition. The second reality is worldly object like our body, food, cloth, all similar objects, all the functions of this worldly functions used and experienced through the senses. All these objects and functions are real as long as we live in this world. Once we stop engaging with them, they disappear for us. That means once the soul is liberated from this worldly life and becomes one with Brahman, the world disappears for him. Thus the eternal is not static, transcendent, but living eminence. So for Radhakrishnan, Brahman itself has manifested this world. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahman. That doesn't mean that world is mithya. So this mundane world, this world exists. This world independently, this world doesn't exist. That means the existence of Brahman itself is the existence of this world. The Satta and Brahma Satta Adhina Satta. So this world does not possess the Satta independent of Brahman. So if you don't accept Brahman, then you can't function in this world. Therefore, it is very clearly, though Radhakrishnan appreciates the Shankara's view, but he takes a small deviation and establishes that this world is not just an illusion. Because it is completely, the existence of world is completely dependent on the existence of the Brahman. Therefore, if you if you are accepting the existence of Brahman, you should accept the existence of the dependent existence of the world. Therefore, world is now real. Real in the sense that dependent reality. It is dependent reality. Therefore, this continues to exist as long as we engage with this world. Therefore, now ethical engagement is possible. Radhakrishnan rejects the metaphysical escapism. He insists that spiritual realization must inform social responsibility. He believed in Karma Yoga of Gita. Otherwise, for Shankara faces a big challenge in Isha Upanishad. Because Isha Upanishad takes a different view than other Upanishads. In Isha Upanishads, as you just see, Isha Vasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagatatena tyaktena bhunjitaha magrata kasya siddhanam kurvanneveha karmani jiji visheshatam samaha. So everything is positively, it is stated, and also it is stated that you should do karma. You cannot escape. Then, but Shankara, in the outset of his bhashya, he gives a background for this Upanishad, and he says, Tamah prakashayoriva jnana karmanoho paraspara virodha. Jnana and karma, they cannot go together. Therefore, according to Shankara, jnana and karma, real Brahma jnana and karma cannot go together. Vidya, avidya cannot go together. And the worldly life and sannyasa cannot go together. Therefore, sannyasa marga is totally different and the karma yoga is totally different. It is because he faced the challenges from Mimamsaka, and he starts segregating the Vedas into two parts, Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. And Karma Kanda is for the worldly life and Jnana Kanda is for the salvation. The problem here is Upanishad suddenly starts saying Vidyancha Vidyancha ettadvedo bhayam saha avidyaya murtyum tirtva avidyaya amritam ashnute. Suddenly Jnana Karma Samuchayavada is established. Therefore, for Shankara, the Vidya means the worldly knowledge again. Because Devata Jnana, this means whatever Karma Karaka etc. are involved in this Karma Kanda, that Jnana is Vidya and the Avidya is the Karma. Suddenly the entire Upanishadic Prakarana, the term Vidya is interpreted as the Vidya which is in the worldly Vidya, knowledge of the world. This is a problem. But for Radhakrishnan, when he interprets, he takes a different view. This is what interesting for us. No one can escape from this worldly responsibility while living in this worldly life. In that sense, he recognizes the temporal realities of the universe as a means for the moksha and revelation. This is Radhakrishnan's view. He was a practical Vedantin in that sense, because he takes the idea from even Vivekananda and from even Aurobindo, who never denies the existence of the worldly realities. It is compulsory to observe the duties as part of these temporal realities. He believed civilization's decline not due to the economic poverty but the spiritual exhaustion. This spirituality is nothing but identifying the eternal truth in the temporal realities. So therefore he reconciled the eternal truth with the temporal realities. In Hindu view on temporal world, I quote, Hindu thought is generally associated with the theory of the world is samsara. Then he expressions like on the wheel of time, the cycle of birth and death, and ever rolling stream, samsara and jagat are employed to indicate the non-substantial or unstable character of the universe. Everything that exists suffers change. Every actuality is becoming, has in it the principle of unrest. Nothing empirical is eternally conserved. All life is a constant birth and becoming. All birth entails constant death. A dissolution of that which becomes in order that it may change into new becoming. The world is moving, Jagat. It is his interpretation. It would be resolved by the cessation of the movement. The illusion is not in the movement, but in the stationariness. He states that for it, being is only process, a continuous alteration of birth and death, a perceptual transition from one thing to another. Doctrine of, again he reconciles Buddhist view of life. With the both Hindus and Buddhists, the notion of world becoming is more speculative category than a scientific truth, at any rate of in regard to the physical world. So he does not deny, even he takes the Buddhist view, he does not deny the reality of this world. And I skip some of the points here. He projects the Vedantic view as the view of Hinduism in total. Whether it is acceptable for the others or not, I don't know. But always Radhakrishnan projects the Hindu view with the Vedantic view. Though internally there are so many deliberations, diversities within the Hindu schools like Jaina, Bauddha, and within the Darshanas. But I don't think that the one aspect regarding eternal and temporal ideas, there are no much debates. Everyone agrees that Amritasya Putraha, the human dignity arises from the spiritual origin. This is acceptable for everyone. His interpretation of Ekam Sadvipra Bhudha Vadanti forms the basis of his comparative religion, unity without uniformity. One of the defining characteristics of Radhakrishnan philosophy is his emphasis on the intuition as the highest form of the knowledge. He brings the intuition and intellect. So he takes the ideas from the West, the limitations of the intellect. Even within our Darshanas, we have intellect, buddhi, and limitation of buddhi. But within Indian schools, the limitation of intellect is acceptable for everyone. Every school has noted it. But in the West, the scope of intellect is elaborated. The reason has taken the important place in the Western philosophy. And very clearly Radhakrishnan has maintained this journey. I mean, from the Western view to Darshana view, and then comes back to the Vedanta, and he reconciles. Ultimately he says that the intellectual limitations and the inevitability of the intuition. The intuition as a direct and immediate apprehension of the reality enables individuals to experience the essential unity of life. This view stands in contrast to the epistemological rationalism of many philosophies, including Western and Indian, making Radhakrishnan's system both distinctive and sometimes controversial. Because as I said, he presents Vedantic view as Hindu thought. And his since all major religious traditions, he claimed, are expressions of the same spiritual intuition, they are fundamentally harmonious in essence through diverse in form. So when he states this, all the religions who present their own views in different forms are just expressions of the same spiritual intuition. This reconciliation is very, very important for this 21st century, but the philosophical discourse, within the philosophical schools, people disagree with him. Radhakrishnan's idealism is not confined to the metaphysical abstraction. It extends to the ethics, politics, education and culture. He believed that recognizing the spiritual nature of the self would naturally lead to a moral conduct, social harmony and global peace. His philosophical vision therefore entails a strong ethical and humanistic dimension. He envisioned a universal human community grounded in sacred spiritual values, transcending the sectarian boundaries and national divisions. In this regard, his thought intersects with Gandhian ethics and broader tradition of Indian spiritual humanism. A hallmark of Radhakrishnan's philosophy is his religious pluralism. He argues all authentic religions stem from the same spiritual intuition, ultimately converge on the same metaphysical truth. However, the assumption of essential unity can oversimplify doctrinal differences and ignore the historical and theological conflicts. This is a problem that we normally find in the presentation of, though it is required for the day, this is a problem that the philosophers come across when they read Radhakrishnan. Reinterpretation of Shankara is very important aspect that I want to present here. It is not fair to represent Shankara's view as an illusionism. I am reading his passages. Shankara repudiates the subjectivism of Vijnanamadins and affirms the external mental reality of the objects. His theory is not Drishti Srishtivada. It's very interesting. Drishti Srishtivada, though we find it in Shankaradvaita, but very clearly Radhakrishnan refutes that his theory is not Drishti Srishtivada. The objects rise into being when we perceive them and disappear when we do not. This is the difference between Vijnanavada and Shankara's Mayavada. We perceive objects and do not simply contemplate. Shankara distinguishes dreams from waking experiences and warns us against a confusion between the two. The experiences of waking life are not contradicted by anything else in our logical knowledge. He is a realist so far as our experience goes. You should see, he is a realist. This is the interpretation of Radhakrishnan. He clearly states that Shankara is not illusionist. Shankara is a realist as far as our experience goes. These things control, then for avidya is not a private profession of this or that individual mind. It is common to all minds. Being a cosmic principle of finiteness, it is the cause of the whole world, empirical world. Common to all, moksha or release of any one individual does not bring about the destruction of the world, but only the displacement of a false outlook by a true one, avidya by vidya. When the illusion of the mirage is dissipated by scientific knowledge, the illusion stands there through it is no longer able to tempt us. The world is not so much denied as reinterpreted. So world is not so much denied as reinterpreted. Shankara believes that logical dualism between object and subject is not final. It rests on a monism. Subject and object are phases of spirit. Atmaneva dharma. I am Atmaneva dharma. They have no existence apart from Brahma. Very interestingly, he says that the Shankara does not assert an identity between the God and world, but only denies the independence of the world. Jagat swatantriyam nasti. In this sense, if you go to Ramanuja and Madhva and others, while accepting both the realities in the same realm, Jagat Satya, Brahma Satya, but both are dependent. I mean, Brahma is independent, Jagat is dependent. In the same sense, if you go to Shankara, the very existence of the world itself is dependent on Brahman's existence. This is the difference. Otherwise, these two don't have their own independent existence. For Madhva and Ramanuja, these two have independent existence. And then there is a dependency. Dependency in terms of their functioning, not in the existence sense. Brahma is real and the world is real. What is the difference? Both are in function, both are dependent. I mean, Brahman, world is different, independent on the Brahman. But in Shankara's philosophy, the very existence of the world is dependent on the existence of the Brahman. This is the difference. I think this is what Radhakrishnan brings forth. When Shankara denies the reality of effects, he qualifies his denial by some such phrase as independent of the cause or independent of God. He always says Brahmanyatvam is rejected, not the the total existence of the world. So on even on Ishopanishad, he interprets Shankara again. Major challenge that Shankara encounters in the teaching of Ishopanishad, at the outset of his Bhashya, he rejects the reconciliation of Jnana and Karma. Jnana Karma Samuchaya is not acceptable to him. He also makes clear that there are two different worlds, eternal and temporal life. Their understanding, therefore, wisdom path never goes with work path. But Dr. Radhakrishnan slightly differs here. While taking some ideas from Shankara, he tries to introduce his own understanding of philosophy of Ishopanishad. I read his first stanza. I know that all this, whatever moves in this moving world, is enveloped by God. Therefore, find your enjoyment in renunciation. Tena tyaktena bhunjitaha. Here, Shankara interprets bhunjitaha as palayataha. You protect yourself from the worldly life. But Radhakrishnan takes the view that enjoy the life. This is the difference. He deviates from Shankara. Suddenly he deviates from Shankara. He states that find your enjoyment in renunciation. But for Shankara, come out of this world and protect yourself. Bhunjitaha nama palayetaha. Protect yourself. Do not covet what belongs to others. So Shankara interprets avidya to mean ceremonial piety and vidya as knowledge of deities. The former leads to the world of men and then latter to the world of gods. So Shankara feels that vidya cannot refer to the knowledge of Brahman, for it cannot lead to the greater darkness. Because it is very difficult for Shankara to interpret this Upanishad itself. If we are lost in the world of birth and becoming, we overlook our pure being. If you concentrate on the latter, we will also be one-sided. We must look upon the absolute as one and the many, as both stable and moving. It is both. The verse refers also to the dichotomy of work and wisdom, suggests that while those who are lost in works without wisdom of spirit enter into darkness. So here at the end, Radhakrishnan says that Upanishad emphasizes on the unity of God and the world, the union of the two lives, the contemplative and active. We cannot have the contemplative life without active. We must cleanse our souls to ascend the heights of contemplation. So here he states that karma marga transforms your mental condition, and then you will lead to the you are leading to the salvation. So he never argues for karma sannyas and karma yoga are totally different paths. This is, in conclusion, let me conclude with Upanishadic prayer. Vidyanchaiva avidyancha yastadvedo bhayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidya amritamashnute. The whole life of Dr. Radhakrishnan, whole life and philosophy of Radhakrishnan was dedicated to the essence of this mantra. Vidyanchaiva avidyancha yastadveda upayam saha. You cannot separate them. Avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidya amritamashnute. If someone is just engaged he's engaging himself with the vidya, he goes to antantamas. Therefore, in this hall, we should be very careful while dealing with the philosophy, because vidya leads us to andhakara. So we should reconcile our life and the wisdom of the life. Reconciliation of our philosophical and scientific understanding, the reconciliation of our philosophical and scientific understanding, our experiential national knowledge and spiritual and material life and eternal and temporal universe. We received the lights, that light we received through his works are the beacon of 21st century life and the understanding of the modern problems that address the issues of issues that world is facing. May this seminar not merely commemorate him, but continue his unfinished dialogue between eternal and temporal. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Lastly, I thank Honorable Chairperson and the Director and the organizers for inviting me here. And though my knowledge is limited to the temporal world of Nayayika's worldview, and I'm enlightened with the reconciliation of the both eternal and external worlds presented by Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. Thank you very much. Namo.
Thank you, Professor Varakhedi, for a profound keynote address. Scholarly, illuminating, and deeply aligned with the seminar's theme of the eternal and temporal. Your reflections give us a strong conceptual lens through which we can engage Radhakrishnan's darshan across the session. We now have the address by the chairperson. It is my privilege to invite Professor Shashi Prabha Kumar, Honorable Chairperson of Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla, to address the gathering. Professor Kumar is widely recognized as an eminent Sanskrit scholar and an academic leader. Her major contributions are to the classical Indian philosophy, particularly Vaisheshika, extensive mentorship of research scholars, and national level honors, including the President's Certificate of Honors in Sanskrit, among other distinctions. Ma'am, may I request you to kindly address the audience?
ॐ आनो भद्राः क्रतवो यन्तु विश्वतो दब्धासो अपरीतास उद्भिदः देवानो यथा सदमिद्वृधे असन्नप्रायुवो रक्षितारो दिवे दिवे ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। नमः सर्वेभ्यः सर्वाभ्यश्च। अद्य अस्मिन् अवसरे यदा वयं सर्वे भारतीय उच्च अध्ययन संस्थानस्य षष्टिपूर्तिं मानयितुम् आयोजितस्य अस्य सम्मेलनस्य उद्घाटनसत्रे समवेताः स्मः चेतो मे मोमिद्यते तरां भूयो भूयः समेषामत्र भवतां भवतीनां च सुस्वागतं व्याहरन्त्याः। Very good morning to everyone present here, respected and dear scholars who have assembled here for participating in this two-day national seminar on the Darshana of Radhakrishnan, eternal and temporal. I welcome you all on behalf of the Institute and also on my own behalf. Dear Professor Shrinivasa Varakhedi ji, who has taken time out of his very busy schedule and came here for delivering the keynote address, and he just now delivered a very insightful, profound keynote address. And dear Professor Himanshu Kumar Chaturvedi ji, the dynamic and dedicated director of this institute, he has taken all efforts to make this seminar a success. Dear Dr. Ranganath ji and Professor Muktinath Mohanty ji, convener and the co-convener for this seminar, they have worked really hard and they have persuaded all the scholars who are present here to come participate and enlighten us all about the philosophy of Radhakrishnan. Dear National Fellows, Tagore Fellows, Fellows, Associates, officers and staff of the Institute, I am grateful to you all for the efforts that you have taken and worked for this seminar. Not only for this seminar, but you have made this institute whatever it is. It is due to your hard work, your dedication, and your work, and your profound scholarship, the fellows who have been here, who have been spreading the wisdom of Indian tradition. Darshana of Radhakrishnan, eternal and temporal. Friends, we took this topic because the philosophy, word philosophy, as we all know, it's only the love of wisdom. But darshan is something which gives you life, which not only explains and reflects your view of life, but also your way of life. Just now, Professor Varakhedi was mentioning about Drishti Srishti Vada of Vedanta. I would say this Indian Institute of Advanced Study is a srishti of the drishti that Radhakrishnan had. If he didn't have that drishti, that vision, and not only the vision, that Shiva Sankalpa, somebody, someday, some moment, this must have occurred in his mind that this is a Rashtrapati Nivas, but the position of Rashtrapati is not eternal. It is only temporal. But the donation that he made to the nation, and he instituted this Indian Institute of Advanced Study for the future generations of scholars, that is an eternal contribution that he has made. Therefore, the topic was appropriately deliberated, discussed, and chosen. This temporal and eternal, this dvandva, this dichotomy in Indian tradition is very, very pertinent, and it is reflected in various ways. But during this course of this two-day seminar, all the other dimensions of this topic will be explained and discussed. I am very sure about that. Dr. Radhakrishnan needs no introduction, as we all know him as a scholar, as a statesman, as a Vice Chancellor, Vice President, and then President of India. But above all, he was a philosopher and a teacher. When I was glancing through the biography of Radhakrishnan by his own son, Dr. S. Gopal, he says that Radhakrishnan was a philosopher first and foremost. He held many positions and he had many roles to play, but philosopher was the role that was the first and foremost in his life. For us at the Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla, he means much more because he was the founder of our institute and all his other credentials are secondary, but the founder of the institute, that is primary for us. 60 years in the life of an individual mean much more. And in the life of an institution, 60 years is a small period. But during the last 60 years, we have achieved whatever we could just because this institute was initiated in 1965 by Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. Therefore, we all bow down to the spirit of Radhakrishnan and to his ancestors and to the earlier seers, as we say, idam nama rishibhyah, namaha purvebhyah, purvajebhyah, pathikridbhyah. Radhakrishnan has authored and translated several volumes. Dr. Ranganath gave a very good introduction. He says more than 60 volumes during the 60 years of his writing. All these volumes are focused on Indian knowledge tradition, but most important of all, the three sources of Prasthana Trayi, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita and the Brahma Sutras. We call these three texts as the source text of Indian philosophy and they are termed as Prasthana Trayi. He translated all these three into lucid English and introduced these texts, gave an access to the West to enter, read and then write on these sources of Indian wisdom. The Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras and the Bhagavad Gita, they are translated by him in English and he gave an access to the rich heritage of Indian tradition through this translation. But it is not just translation. He is also an interpreter. He is an author, he is a translator, and he is an interpreter. Just now, in his keynote address, Professor Varakhedi beautifully illustrated how, while explaining the Indian philosophical tenets, he deals with the Purva Paksha and the Uttara Paksha, and he goes on to prove his own point of view. He has written the popular books we all know, but there are, I was just glancing through and I was amazed to see that he has also written on education, politics and war. Temporally, how significant and relevant a book. This was published in 1944. This is not very popular. The Religion We Need, published in 1928. Religion and Society, 1947. The Dhammapada, 1950. Essentials of Psychology, 1912. Ethics of Vedanta, 1908. This was his MPhil dissertation. And Philosophy of Rabindranath Tagore in 1918. So all these books mark his passion and his devotion to the Indian tradition. He was not only he was a philosopher, as I said, first and foremost, but he was not just a philosopher. He was dealing with the actual, real problems of society, politics, and life. So his reflections are very, very valuable for the future generations to come. I started reading Radhakrishnan's Indian philosophy in the year 1974 when I started teaching at Delhi, one of the colleges of Delhi University. because before that I had my education in Hindi medium at Uttar Pradesh. When I started reading his book on Indian philosophy, 2 volumes, and these volumes, those of us who have read, I am sure all of us must have read 1 or the 2 or all the chapters. This book is really a treasure house. Because when I started reading them for my own understanding, that was different. But when I started my research in 1978, I am a Vaisheshika student, and I couldn't understand the Sanskrit texts which were written on Vaisheshika. I went to read Radhakrishnan, and his exposition of atomistic pluralism of Vaisheshika helped me understand the basic concepts of Vaisheshika. Then, whenever I had some problem while studying the debate and deliberation between the proponent and the opponent, then again I went to Radhakrishnan and sometimes Das Gupta. Both of these are very, very valuable resources for a student of Indian philosophy. First of all, I would like to quote his son S. Gopal, what he says. He says, Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan was a man of versatile talent and varied achievements. He served India in a number of ways and worked for the reconciliation of mankind at the deepest level. But first and foremost, he was a philosopher of the front rank, and the final place to encounter and assess him is in his philosophical writings, unquote. This is from the biography of Radhakrishnan written by his son S. Gopal. And this is what our keynote speaker this morning, he has done, reading through the text of, through the writings of Radhakrishnan and going in through the lines, bringing out his personality, his ideas, and his beliefs. He was a Vedantin at heart. He has dealt with all the systems of Indian philosophy. Right from first volume deals with the Vedas, Upanishads, epics, and then the second volume deals with the 6 systems. He has devoted 3 chapters to Vedanta. So at heart he was a Vedantin. But the 3 terms, I always mention that Indian philosophy can be defined, Bharatiya Darshana can be confined to 3 terms. And these 3 terms are Dharma, Karma, and Brahma. And the Sanskritists know that all these 3 terms are Nakaranta. Dharman, Karman, and Brahman. And the whole of Bharatiya Darshana can be explained if we can explain these 3 terms. And we all know that Radhakrishnan has dealt with all these 3 terms in extensive details. I would quote his definition on dharma and karma, and regarding Brahman, while he is dealing with Vedanta, he has dealt with the problem of supreme reality, that is Brahman. So for dharma he says, dharma is right action. In the Rig Veda, Rita is the right order of the universe. It stands for both the Satya or the truth of things as well as Dharma or the law of evolution. Dharma, formed from the root Dri, to hold, means that which holds a thing and maintains it in being and becoming, Sat and Bhava, eternal and temporal. These are the crucial terms and concepts of Bharatiya Darshana. Every form of life, every group of men has its dharma, which is the law of their being. Dharma or virtue is conformity with the truth of things, and vice or adharma is opposition to it. Moral evil is disharmony with the truth which encompasses and controls the world, unquote. Coming to karma. This was his vision of dharma. This was from Indian Hindu view of life. The small booklet regarding karma, the law of karma, encourages the sinner that it is never too late to mend it. It does not shut the gates of hope against despair and suffering, guilt and peril. It provides us, it persuades us to adopt a charitable view towards the sinner, for men are more often weak than vicious. It is not here that the heart of man is desperately wicked and that he prefers evil to good. The easy descent to hell to the steep ascent to heaven is difficult. Unquote. Regarding the doctrine of karma, I remember I organized a seminar at Delhi University in 1993 on the doctrine of karma and rebirth in Indian thought. And one sentence of Radhakrishnan, when I read it, it is imprinted in my mind. The cards of the game are given to us. We are not free to choose the cards, but we are free to play the game as we like. This is the theory of karma. Because many a times this question of the doctrine of karma and freedom of will, there is a debate, there is a tussle. But the beautiful illustration that Radhakrishnan has given, it simply explains this dichotomy of karma and free will. So dharma, karma and Brahman. About dharma, the Upanishads deal with dharma. Dharmasya trayo skandhaha yajyo dhyayanam danam. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad explains dharma. Karma. Bhagavad Gita is nothing but karma shastra. And Brahman, the whole of Bharatiya Darshan, or more especially the Brahma Sutras, the title itself is Brahma Sutras. So that deals with the Brahman. And Radhakrishnan has not only elaborated, explained, and permeated this idea of dharma, karma and Brahman in his writings, but he has also lived with these ideas throughout his life. He has dealt with these ideas in his political career and his academic career. But as he was a dedicated teacher throughout his life, a teacher is always a teacher, whatever position he or she may hold, but the position of teacher, the idea of being a teacher is always supreme in his or her heart. So that's why his birthday, 5th September, is celebrated since 1961. This is being celebrated as Teachers' Day. So we all have assembled here to discuss and deliberate upon these ideals and ideas of a teacher, of a statesman, and of a darshanika who has explained Bharatiya Darshana from its core. Very few authors are like him who have as good access to Sanskrit as a facility of expression in English. So he was a rare talent. He was endowed with this rare facility of expression and the access to original sources. He has obliged us all, and we are here discussing all these ideas of his personality and the Indian tradition because he made it possible for us. With these words, I just like to say that we have a Radhakrishnan Memorial Lecture. Every year we hold that lecture, and only 2 days ago, Professor Arindam Chakravarti delivered that Radhakrishnan Memorial Lecture on the Madhu Kanda of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad on the 6th of this month. But this event, this seminar is a special program which was conceived on the 60th year of this institute, and I am again thankful to all of you who have taken time, made it convenient to come here and to deliberate on the various aspects of his philosophy. I am especially thankful to Professor Varakhedi ji, who has not only made it possible to come, he came only midnight and he will be leaving after this session. So see how busy he is, but still his love for philosophy and his love for the Institute of Advanced Study, he made it possible. I am thankful to you, and I must acknowledge that the director, Professor Himanshu Chaturvedi and Dr. Ranganath, but for both of them, this seminar would not have taken the shape it has taken. Thanks to them all, and thanks to each one of you. With these words, I am thankful. Namaste.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson Ma'am, for your inspiring address and for your guidance and academic leadership. Your words reaffirm the IIAS responsibility to preserve the rigorous scholarship while building the meaningful bridges between the classical wisdom and contemporary intellectual life. We now have come to the vote of thanks. May I invite Dr. Rajiv Kumar Mishra, the librarian and in charge of Academic Resource Section of IIAS, to present the vote of thanks.
Respected Chairperson, Professor Sasi Prabha Kumarji, Honorable Director, Professor Himanshu Kumar Chaturvedi ji, Honorable Professor Shrinivasa Varakhedi ji, Vice Chancellor, Central Sanskrit University, Delhi, Honorable Dr. S. Rangnath ji, convener of this seminar, esteemed National Fellow, Tagore Fellows, distinguished participants, associates and staff of the Institute. A very good morning to you all. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere thanks and gratitude to the Chairperson and the Director of the Institute for their constant support and guidance in organizing this important two-day international conference on Darshana of Radhakrishnan, Eternal and Temporal. Their encouragement has been a source of motivation for us. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to respected Professor Shrinivasa Varakhedi ji, Vice Chancellor, Central Sanskrit University, Delhi, for delivering the thought-provoking keynote address. Your words have provided us with a deep and enriching understanding of Darshana of Radhakrishnan. You have highlighted illustrated legacy of IIAS, Vedic culture, Vedic knowledge, Radhakrishnan philosophy, three layer of Satya and the Karma and Jnana and Buddhist view of life. You have highlighted Hindu view of life, provided the base for his darshan of ideal of the way of life. Your insights have set the perfect tone for the discussion. Be truly grateful for your valuable contribution to this seminar. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to respected Chairperson, Professor Sasi Prabha Kumarji, for her presidential remarks. It is a great honor to all of us to have you, Madam. Your presence added immense value to this event, and we deeply express your sincere gratitude. Your inspiring and insightful speech was truly enriching and enlightening. You have highlighted the vision of Radhakrishnan and the illustrious works of Radhakrishnan. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to respected Director, Professor Himanshu Kumar Chaturvedi ji, for his welcome address. Your words set the perfect tone for the seminar and made everyone feel truly welcomed. A special note of thanks goes to the convener of this seminar, respected Dr. S. Rangnath ji, and the co-convener Dr. Muktikanta Mohanty ji, whose hard work, dedication, and meticulous planning have made this conference a reality. From coordinating with the invited speakers to selecting papers and handling every detail with care, your efforts have been instrumental in bringing us all together. We deeply appreciate your commitment, sir. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the participants, online and offline, who have joined us from various parts of the country. I sincerely hope that we will engage in thoughtful, enriching, and intellectually stimulating discussions and contribute meaningfully to the objectives of this seminar. We look forward to publishing the seminar proceedings, and I request all the participants to submit their papers for inclusion in the seminar proceeding. I would like to extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to the National Fellows, Tagore Fellows, Associates for their valued presence in the seminar. I am sure that your presence will greatly enhance the depth of this seminar, and I am confident that your contribution and active participation in the deliberation will significantly enrich the discourse over the coming sessions. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to all my colleagues, especially Dr. Akhilesh Pathak and the section heads of the various departments for their invaluable contribution in organizing the seminar. I truly appreciate the dedication and teamwork. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra, for the vote of thanks and for acknowledging the many hands and minds that make a seminar of this caliber possible. Our authorities, the dignitaries, scholars, participants, organizers, and entire IIAS team. So now we came to the concluding part of this inaugural session. Before we rise for the national anthem, I have just few announcements to make. After the inaugural session, we will assemble for a group photograph in the front lawn of the institute. After that, high tea is arranged in the observatory guest house, in the lawn of the observatory guest house. We have also a matter of pride that we are inaugurating the newly established, modernly equipped and automated conference hall at the Siddharth Vihar guest house, and the remaining sessions of this international conference will be held in that very conference hall. Now may I request all to kindly rise for the Vande Mataram and followed by the national anthem, please.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you very much. We wish you a very meaningful and intellectually enriching seminar. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
All the works of Radhakrishnan